online and in the room. Jim is the host this evening, but we've just been working on trying to make the camera picture on this end a little better. So hopefully it doesn't look quite so fuzzy from this site.
No, it seems to be okay now.
Okay, so we'll and we'll just usually give a few moments for people to show up.
Nope.
He can buy the bag. Come on.
The bag is taken. Okay.
So just bear with us for a few minutes. We're
I work 9 to 5, and then I'm like, my Friday nights. Casually for Friday of every month. Yeah. I think it was a different. I really for Friday and doing something. This I am in 3 weeks, 3 months. You know, next weekend when we get back, I'm doing a talk at National Spacecraft competition. We're doing like with the it's it's into science is posting it. INDUS. I don't know exactly, but it's just like spacecraft. So like I don't go in the talk that they want to be the whole weekend. I'm like that's not happening. He's like,
okay, Jim. I guess you can start getting ready to take it away. And maybe you can solicit and see who would like to speak tonight in addition to Samantha.
All right. Well,
we'll move you over
let's
here.
do that. Do we have anybody who has anything they would like to bring up and or discuss, present? Other than that, we also have Samantha Jewett here, who's the Education and Outreach Coordinator for the National Office, who's gracefully decided to come by and let us know what was going to be going on. So do we have anything else that we would like to bring up?
Jim, it's David here.
Yes, David.
Give me a few moments just to thank the people that work on the sky brightness system.
Maybe you could update us on what happened.
Yeah, I could do that as well.
Oh, okay.
We're just getting some static from somewhere. Anybody figure out where that's coming from?
Samantha, is your
Right?
Samantha, audio on?
No, I'm not connected my audio
Oh, good.
to like I'm even enjoying my audio.
It started with Jim when he turned his audio on.
Hang on a second. I'll try turning it off here.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I made a point of not even connecting my audio to avoid that,
But Jim needs to be able to speak, so we're not.
Yeah, that's a problem. If there's time at the end, I could show some recent photos if anyone's interested.
Yeah, I think. Well, I can't speak for Jim, but I think there'd be time.
Okay, that would be good. All right. Well, if we don't have anybody else, anyway, we can. If anyone wants to speak up throughout the meeting, I'd be quite happy. But let Brock and David speak about their. Or David speaking about the sky quality survey, and Brock, if you'd like to do a quick talk about your photos after that, then we can go on and see or listen to Samantha and listen to her presentation, which I'm sure will be very good. Why don't you go ahead?
Jim, it's Reg and at the unit here.
Hello, Reg.
Nice if we could introduce the people that are in this room, because they don't have name tags like the other people in the room.
Oh.
But there's a lot of people who aren't on the screen. We've got a ton of people out here. And they've eaten all of the Viva cups already.
Well, there's 2 left. 3 left. 3 left.
He's just go here.
They go down too easy.
Oh. Well, I know more than a few people by face, but I'm not going to try and go through to do that. So why doesn't everybody introduce themselves then?
Why don't we get into the camera site and just say our names? My name is Reg, and I'm the past president.
No, I'm Ken.
I'm Ashish.
I'm Wes.
Scott.
Susan.
Doug, over on the edge here. You can see my arm. Alex. And David.
And Clayton's over off in the corner here.
Lauri.
Oh, I see. Well done.
I'll reveal myself later.
So Jim, should I go ahead?
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay, I just wanted to thank everybody for the outstanding support on the sky brightness survey we did last week. I've got most of the data collection sheets back, and I'm really anxious to get going and looking at the data. So I think aside from collecting the data, I got a lot of comments from people about how interesting it was to actually be out collecting data. I myself was quite impressed by some of the light shielding efforts that have taken place over Victoria in the last decade. And I think other people probably have comments similar to that. But yeah, it was a very interesting experience. Is there anybody here that wanted to comment on what happened? Margie, you had some interesting comments.
Let me see. I've forgotten my interesting comments. It was just fun. It was fun to be outside. It was fun to see where it was darker and where it was lighter. And Susan and I did the first half together. And I think it was just a great experience.
Good, excellent.
I was with Margie and we did a totem pole instead of a flagpole in the dark.
Well,
But in our defense, I would just like to say that as we approached this dark field, Sherlock Holmes style, there was this cigarette glowing in the bushes, and then as we got there was this dark figure on a park bench. So I didn't really put my head map on the pole. So we're going to do the flagpole tonight.
Oh, okay. Sounds really ominous. That's incredible.
Deacon Park at 9:30.
Yeah.
Come
guess
join
so.
us. Yeah.
You have to climb all the way up the flagpole?
No. Thank goodness.
Anyways, a big thanks to everybody. And depending on whether there's holes in the data, we may go for another round in October, but right now it's looking pretty good. So if anybody else wants to understand or know a little bit more about the project, certainly send me a note. Lauri, you had a question.
Yeah, I was just going to say that Brenda Southhow and I did half of the bottom end of the Saanich Peninsula, and then I sent her home, and then I went and found Chris Gaynor. Is Chris on here?
Yeah,
And Chris is on, and then we did the top half of the Saanich Peninsula, and I got home at 1 o'clock. So it was a long night, but it was really interesting to see all the different places. And I would say that, like for instance, in Sydney, there's been so much building in Sydney that it's just overwhelmed with lighting now that it's not dark anymore up there at all. And the other thing is we did try to do the app, the phone app, and we took a few readings. We didn't do all of them, but we did some of them, and almost exclusively the numbers were higher with the phone app. Now, I don't know if anybody else did any other readings, but it was, I mean, I'm going to give them to David and so he can kind of see that difference. So the phone app may not be, as it may just be reading a little bit higher than the regular.
That's better numbers. That's good.
Now John McDonald sent me quite a few notes about using the app. So at some point, John, if you're there tonight, I'd like to get a meter out to you so you might be able to do some comparisons for us.
About that, I think it'd be interesting. One of the things I'm really not sure about is how well that app will work with different phones, because the different phones have very different cameras in them.
Yeah, I agree.
The one that I was using is a very recent phone, and it's probably got a pretty good camera, but I don't. It'd be interesting to compare quite a few different ones just to see how well they work.
Yeah, we have more work cut out for us, for sure. More data collection.
That's very interesting. Yeah, that's a very interesting observation.
I used my phone alongside the SQM consistently for the sites, and I would say almost across the board it was reading higher, that it was it was reading darker. And I gave you the data.
Yeah, I have it.
All the stuff. I think it's pretty consistent.
So
But it's an
was
interesting
that,
point about the phone itself, you know, about
was
whether
this SQM a wide field or the narrow field?
it was narrow field, the 20 degrees.
Okay, right. So because that's what I was thinking, maybe the phone one is using a very narrow field, which would always be darker because it's not going to be influenced unless you're pointing it right at the heart of the Milky Way or like up into Cygnus or at Jupiter, say. But
No,
Is there any way to calibrate these things? Is there any way to calibrate these things?
I think we can calibrate against, we can make one quote a standard, and we can do offsets against it. And there's lots of different ways we can do this. But I think at the very least, we could do a calibration against some master that we consider master, and then do offsets.
That would be good, because then you can rely on the different readings by the different instruments, right?
Right, absolutely. Yeah, you know, there's more things to come from this, you know, like this was, I really believe this was meant to spawn a lot of future investigation. One of the things I'm thinking of now is that out of the initial analysis, what I'd like to do is maybe develop some areas of interest. I know that Clayton's very interested in seeing what the activity around Big High is. We're certainly going to make that one of the areas of interest. Susan, you had a question.
I would just like to put it out there. Maybe it's not a good, maybe a lengthy discussion for tonight, but as we did it, I, as a citizen, you know, was actually glad some places were lit. If I thought about myself in that role, so that given the occasions that we're repeating doing that, I mean, thinking about the intent of the survey, I'm not so sure. You know, you would be critical of some sites being well lit.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair enough. I mean, there's different motivations for different areas for sure, and I'm not going to debate what that is. But it is always good to know, you know, if certain areas have potential encroachment where the benefits don't outweigh what is actually happening.
So David, it's
Yes.
Brenda.
Hi, Brenda.
I just wanted to say that when Lauri and I did the reading at Island View Beach, there was not a single car there at about, I think it was at about 11 o'clock.
Okay.
And we thought that was pretty amazing. And it was a very amazing sky.
Yeah.
what was the number?
I can't remember what the number was.
I think it was in the 19s from what I could remember when I looked at the
It was
sheet.
some 19 and some 20. But I mean,
That's awful.
Just the scope of what you could see was so great. And there was this weird ambient light though that we couldn't figure out. It was coming maybe even from as far away as Vancouver.
Yeah.
And maybe some maritime influence. But the interesting thing was there wasn't a single soul there.
Wow.
One car drove in and then went off into a corner somewhere. We couldn't see them at all. But that was kind of cool.
Yeah, I think
there was nobody there.
Vancouver from Maple Bay, I certainly see the glow from Vancouver across the line.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's many things to come out of this, both personal and things that we might want to do as a community. So yeah, I applaud all of you for participating. So I'm very happy.
Yep.
It's worth pointing out that you can have locations that are well lit, but that don't contribute very much to sky glow. It just depends on the nature of the lighting. So you can't make generalizations about the lighting either. You have to know specifically what the nature of the lighting is.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. I was out at the Camosun campus out on Interurban, and I was expecting it to be awful, but across the street on Hector Avenue, I got some fairly dark readings, so that don't seem to inform the way the campus is lit, because the campus was extremely bright.
Yeah,
But
it is.
the readings from Hector were dark, relatively dark.
It's very easy to hide in bad lighting. You can be standing right underneath the brightest light out there.
Yeah.
And if it's shining in the eyes of the people who are trying to see you, you can't be seen. So bad lighting doesn't make things safe at all.
Yeah.
It
You know,
just
the other thing-
shows,
Yeah, go ahead, Bill.
it just shows what's there to steal.
Yeah. So the other thing that we always talk about is what the effect of lighting is on animals. And I was thinking it would be neat to see if there were habitats that were easily discernible on the map. And I'm sure that kind of information is available, and try to map that against what some of our readings are to maybe potentially get some targets that are kind of biologically based. And I'm sure Dorothy could help us with that. Anyways, thanks again.
A quick question, David.
Yes.
I was just interested, the units on the quality meters,
Yeah.
how do they relate to the Bordeaux?
If you do a Google search of SQM versus Bordeaux, you will see a mapping, and it's quite well laid out in the Wikipedia reference.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
But it's not real at all.
no. I mean,
Because a Bordeaux reading is you being exactly in a spot, looking up at the sky and matching it to what you can see in the sky. So I was on Mount Cobo last month, and I was getting 21.8 reading on the SQM. I could barely see 6 magnitude stars because the transparency was bad. There was some smoke in the sky, but that was a normal reading for Mount Cobo of about 21.7 to 6.5 to 8. So it's not, the Bordeaux scale would have said that was like a 4, maybe a 3.5. I mean, 4, maybe 5 almost. So a Bordeaux thing is only a moment in time.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the scales have their weaknesses. I think I'm trying to remember the fellow's first name. His last name is Flanders. He actually wrote an article with Sky and Telescope, and he talks more about the visibility of objects based on the SQM readings. And maybe that might be more appropriate for you, Ken, if you wanted to understand what is expected to be visible at certain SQM readings. So that might be of interest to you.
Thank you.
Anyways, thanks again.
Hey, thank you, David. Brock, did you have anything? You said you had some photos you wanted to share.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't been together all summer, and I thought I'd put together a few. I don't have all of them because that would take too long, but the latest little while I think I can show. So I should have, wait, hold on. There we go. Can you guys see the elephant's trunk?
Yes. Is there any way that we could turn off those lights?
It's beautiful, Brock.
Thank you. This was back in early August or mid-August, I guess. And got that with my larger telescope, my 925 Celestron. This was the Dumbbell Nebula, also sort of in mid to late August. And this is probably the 3rd or 4th time I've tried to capture it, and managed to pull out some of the fainter details. So it's a very interesting target. And this one was a kind of a copycat one. Dave Payne did a really good shot of the dark shark, and I thought I got to try that. So I went out and set up for it. And this one is this would required some pretty dark skies around a new moon, I think. And it pretty faint, but it's really interesting because there's so much detail in it. That's, the reflection off of the stars. There's several galaxies. There's a galaxy right here. I think there's another galaxy down here. And I mean, I'm sure there are many, many more that I just haven't really looked close enough to find, but it's
Brock, for
yeah.
the people are not familiar with this type of image, can you tell us what it's actually featuring? That kind of browny
Sure.
area.
Yeah, well, this is basically some dust lanes that are in our galaxy. And this is actually in Cepheus. And it's basically dust. It's a dark nebula, essentially, or a dusty nebula that has in a star forming region, I imagine. And I don't know a lot about the physics of exactly what stage of evolution that is in terms of when it's going to become a star, or if it used to be stars and is blown up. But there's definitely. Do you know anything additional, David?
Not really. It's just that I have noticed over time that it's nothing that I've ever imaged.
Yeah.
But I have noticed that Dan Posey likes these areas, and
Yeah.
I know John McDonald does as well. And
Yeah.
I've always thought they were kind of intriguing because they have this kind of browny gray look to them.
Yeah.
So there's
Yeah.
there's no nearby stars to actually reflect off them. You can actually see a couple that are creating some reflection.
Yeah.
On the top of the shark's head and at its chest, if you will. There's a couple of those would be reflection nebula.
Mm-hmm.
But this heavier dust doesn't get blown around as readily as hydrogen or the ions. So it's like the shapes you see is just as a result of radiation sort of blowing the dust around from various stars.
Right.
Yeah, thanks, Dave. I'm glad you chimed in. You actually have a very nice description of this somewhere in those trails of emails, but at some point you should tell us about it.
This one I took, when was this? Back in August 31st. This is the Deerlick group up here in the upper corner. And a number of, there's obviously quite a few small galaxies, and then the classic shot there. And I also have Stephan's quintet. And this one's interesting because I was reading up on it, and this galaxy here is actually not part of this group. Is all the sort of more yellow hued are part of an actual cluster or group of galaxies. And this other one, which has a much bluer hue and even some hydrogen alpha regions in it, it's actually quite a bit closer to us in the foreground. So, but this is, if I really wish I had a much bigger telescope, because this is an interesting little galaxy, although probably not little actually, but. And then I couldn't help myself to get another attempt at M31, and I got that just a couple of weeks ago. And of course M110. And there's actually, I've never seen this before, but way down in the bottom of the image here, there's some other little teeny galaxy. I think Dave Payne did some plate solving and said it's PGC 2314. So if anyone's curious about that. And then just last night, I went out and spent some time capturing video on some of the planets. So this is just one of my shots. I've got about 15 or so that I haven't really worked on it very much, but I want to do some derotating and more processing, but that's sort of first kick at it. The seeing was good last night, so I wanted to get out. Probably good tonight too, but I have to make choices.
Yep.
And then also got a nice shot of Saturn last night. So
Brock,
Yeah,
Brock, are you using just the 120 that you have as a guide camera?
I'm actually using my, I bought a newer camera. It's a, what is it? A 642 or something. You have the same one, Dave. What is it? The 462? MCS?
Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a one-shot color planetary uncooled camera that I bought just for this purpose.
So Jupiter's at opposition tonight.
Yes.
Yeah, the seeing last night was exceptional.
Yeah.
I was out with my 20-inch and it looked, I could see it looking just like your image there.
Yeah.
I
It
just
was
on a
pretty good.
whim, I went on a whim, I thought, oh, I should swing my scope around to Saturn, I mean to Jupiter. And it was like, oh, I just had to stare at it for a long time.
Yeah.
Because when the great red spot, and I could see that little, it looks like eye makeup around it.
Yeah.
Like that little ring. I
Yeah.
could see that so sharply. Actually, I
Nice.
could see better detail than that.
Hmm.
Like those little above it, those two little black spots.
Yep.
Those little hooks of brown coming off were
Yes.
like were feathery. It was just,
Amazing.
I was up almost at 500 times magnification. So it was as big as that in the eyepiece.
Well, you have a lot more aperture too, so that's
But
gonna
it
help.
was the see. It was the seeing.
The seeing was very good. Yeah. What time was that?
I don't really know, but it was about when I'm looking at that, because I got to rotate my head around.
Yeah.
It was probably about that time. So it was maybe
Okay.
about between 10:30 and 11 o'clock. Does that
Yeah,
seem right to you?
that's about, it was after 10 o'clock. So
Yeah.
yeah. Anyways, that's all I got, but I just thought it's fun to look at pretty pictures sometimes.
Those are magnificent, Brock.
Beautiful. Brock, are you using your dual band for those one-shot colors?
No, you mean my dual narrowband?
Yeah.
No, for the planetary stuff, I just.
Oh, not the
u-
planetary. I mean.
Oh, sorry. Sorry?
For the other shots with the galaxies and such?
For, not for the galaxies, but for, I think, the elephant's trunk and the, any of the emission stuff, I generally use my dual narrowband, but
But not for galaxies. I remember that.
no, for Andromeda and the Dark Shark and the Quintet and stuff, and the Deerlick was all just the one shot and no filter.
Okay.
Well, thank you very much, Brock.
Just one quick thing to add, the astrophotography SIG is this Wednesday.
Yes.
And one of the things I'd like to bring up is maybe we could do a monthly sort of report to the Astro Cafe and show some of the things we're doing. So
that's a good idea.
Quite a few fairly gifted photographers there.
Yeah, the group has done quite a bit of good work this summer.
That's a very good idea. Okay, Samantha, are you ready to speak with us?
Yeah.
All right.
Forgive me, I'm still like, I feel like I'm still jet lagged. Looking at my thing, it's 11 p.m. We're at home.
You're just waking up then.
I'm just waking up. You know, I can do the mornings. It's the evenings that I start to. So, I mean, I have kind of slides, but they're not exciting. They're just more for me to be queued up to remember what to talk about. But I will share them. Nope, that's the wrong share. Okay, I just was gonna give you all an overview of what we're planning this year at National. That for those who don't know me, I'm the Education and Outreach Coordinator at RASC National Office. I am a KW Center member, and I live in Kitchener-Waterloo, but I go into Toronto once a week, so I do see the office people. And if you haven't seen me, I do most of the online outreach, Insider's Guide, which I'll be doing tomorrow from the West Coast for the first time ever. And mostly just kind of manage all of the national outreach endeavors in that ways. So right now I'm kind of in the planning phase for 2022-23. We wrapped up a lot of stuff we were doing in 2022. The GA was one of my big projects. I was the project coordinator, project manager for that. I don't know. I just kind of told people to do things and they did it. And then I got all the credit. Lauri was a big help, but I'll just kind of give you a highlight of what we're going, especially because we're taking a little bit of different direction this year now that everything's opening up and we can be in person and say hi and you guys can do outreach again. So we don't need to do a lot of online stuff. So that being said, we really want to know what centers are doing. The outreach executive Lauri, are you the one for this center? And the president of this center would have gotten an email saying you're added to a mailing list. We're going to start doing a lot more meetings with outreach executives. So the centers are connected and we know what the centers need from us and see what's going on. We also, between Phil and I, we really want to start visiting centers, and congratulations. You are the first center meeting I've ever been to in person. So you win. Even my own. So I came out here. Luckily, I have friends and family across the country, so I kind of just swing it. Hey, I'm going to Vancouver to visit my friends. Can you just let me work and go visit people and look at telescopes? And they're like, sure, that's work. I'm like, free vacation. But no, no, I love seeing what you have going on here and seeing your observatories and just seeing what on the ground is like, kind of hiding up behind the computer all the time. You don't get to see it. We also want to start attending those major star parties. Another one, like, I know it's nobody, but I was trying to get to Jasper Dark Sky this year, but my friend's getting married and I'm the maid of honor, so I can't ditch that. But we're going to be trying. We were at North Frontenac, their first ever star party this weekend. That was Alendria. And so we were Alendria, our Sky News editor. So we're just trying to see what's going on the ground level more. Doug can tell you all about this if he's helped out. I am also the project manager of the robotic telescope team. So we have 3 separate teams: Astrophotography, which Doug has one of the operators and helps it run every night, and not every night, but on your nights you're scheduled, but doesn't make me stay up till 11 p.m. midnight, so that helps. And we are releasing our data set that the photo team has been working on October 1st, which is next Saturday, International Astronomy Day. So we are madly editing the photos to making sure that all the data is all good before we sell it. And we're going to add more data sets as we finish up. We're also working on expanding the astrophotography team. So getting more operators, getting more people to help with the data, like going through it. That's in a new year. The science team, there's really only one person that has operating the telescope on the science team right now. So our main focus is to get more people in there. We're training some new operators, and we are going to do a variable stars course. So there's an exoplanet course my predecessor Jenna ran, but Rick, our science team lead, is developing a course on how to measure variable stars with your telescope. And we also we're in the process of developing a citizen science research group. So you can come join us, and we'll be analyzing exoplanet transits and variable star data, and people can propose their own projects and we can work together, kind of like a grad school research group, except we're not paying thousands and thousands of dollars and you don't have to defend a thesis at the end. You just get all the fun parts. We're hoping to do a lot more published work, not just in the RASC journal, but other astronomy journals out there. This graphic is just an old one. We do outreach. I do outreach with classes, but we really want to do a members tour of the night sky, where we're just going to send out members register for free, send out a Zoom link, join us on the telescope at night. You guys are really lucky because you are in the same time zone as our telescope. But that being said, that's why we're going to be doing it in November, maybe December, January, February, March. As soon as it starts to get unreasonable for the East Coast people to stay up, then we're just going to keep it going. But get to see how we work the telescope, how we operate it. We get to take pictures with it. We'll take some data that night, and anything we do, we'll send it to the participants. So that's a fun thing. We also, if you follow our bulletin, you will get updates on there. Another InReach project, sorry if I'm just going through this quickly, but NOVA, you've heard me shout this from the rooftops over and over and over again. Well, my goal is to get this materials to the centers by the end of next month. If you're going to have the Google Drive, we're going to set up a session. We're going to tell you how to host this at your class. It's been tested. Lauri and David were like very kind of teaching like half the session. So you have some experts in the group of what's going on. But this is basically everything you need to teach an astronomy course to the public. We give you the handouts, the marketing materials, the email templates, the presentations, the presenters notes, the extra resources. We've tried to make it as easy as possible. Just bring the volunteers to the location and try to get the people to come. Outreach programs. I said we do outreach with high school students. Please, if you know any high school teachers, educators that just want to like have a free opportunity to have their class on the telescope and discover exoplanets or do astrophotography, please tell them about this. It's free for Canadian educators. We guide them through the process. They get to, you work with the data on the telescope. Lots of fun stuff. We're continuing for the 3rd year, the exoplanets. We do test objects of interest for the more advanced classes. They get to pick their own transits. They get to submit it to the follow-up database. Here's some examples of people that have done the past. We have the Pacific Vancouver School, Pacific School of Inquiry and Invitation. They're either Victoria or Vancouver.
It is in Victoria.
Victoria. They are some of my favorite group to work with. Oh my gosh, they're like, can we image 3 exoplanets in a night? And I'm like, I don't know, but I'll program it for you. Let's see what happens. And they're just so excitable to do this.
And Samantha, if any of you were at the GA or like online at the GA, the Pacific group gave a presentation on what they found, and they were just delightful students that were really well spoken and excited about what they found, you know, so it really was a very good introduction to how a program like this could be done.
Yeah, it was definitely. And they went from not knowing anything to now telling me like, oh, I think you need to program it like this and do this. So this is what would work. It was amazing. The thing that I slogged over for the past month is we had a lot of advanced classes be like, well, can we image that like nebula if we have some spare time during the night? To the point where almost every class was asking to do astrophotography. So we're like, well, let's just do an astrophotography program then. Screw the exoplanet. Let's just look at pretty pictures, which was good timing because the James Webb Space Telescope pictures are coming out. We could talk about false color and wavelengths and why we do exposures. So a lot of, you all know, there's a lot of science behind that. And we've allowed it too. We've given them data we know that works. So for larger classes and smaller groups can choose their own target. We have leading questions on how they can explore, like, why is Hubble's image different than James Webb, different than the one you took? What does it mean to look in different wavelengths? How long should we expose this thing for? You get to choose. I'm not choosing for you. And they have to do all the processing. We do it in AstroImage-J and GIMP, for those of you wondering. It's just because those are free software that's available for students and they work for our purposes. And we also let them just see what's up in the telescope at night. This is one of the major things I have been working on since I've started here. So I just love to see it keep going. And other outreaches, Insider's Guide. So as I said, we're kind of moving away more from online stuff, but this has forever been popular. We're still getting 80+ viewers every time we do this. So I'm not going to cancel this as long as Chris Vaughn, the powerhouse behind this, keeps going. It's going to keep going. It's 12:30, but it's 12:30 your time to 2 p.m. which I figured out because I have to be there tomorrow and I'm not going to arrive at 3:30. That would be a mess. But definitely encourage. We're doing this one is variable stars part 2, how to do your own variable stars research. I can't remember what the upcoming, but it's just anything and everything talking about space. But the main things we're focusing on this year, we're moving away from doing online webinars and big long courses to creating resources. We want to do more short form video contents that you can share with new astronomers. We can catch more people who might be Googling, what is a constellation versus an asterism? We really want to develop the RASC as being like, you want to think about astronomy, find your local RASC center, hang out with them. Like those are where you get good quality material. We're doing more short form content on social media because whether we like it or not, that is how you grow in this day and age. And I have to force myself to learn how to use that stuff. I'm a lurker on social media, but that's something we're really pushing to do more of, to catch those people who are scrolling through their phones and maybe they can learn something instead of just watching funny TikTok videos. The other big group we've noticed is, and I'm wondering if you have two, under 12 years old and family. We have a lot of people like, what do I do with my kids? Well, the kids are not going to want to read our observer's handbook. I find like the teenagers and up, they can kind of do the stuff we have, but I'm really working on complementary activities to our Explore the Universe guide. So how can you teach kids about asterisms or star hopping? that is an activity you can do as a family easily. And I want to develop a complimentary guide to that observer's handbook, not observer's handbook, Explore the Universe. That is just like how to teach these things to your kids or work around with a family. All these things too will be shared with centers so you can use it as your own resources. Getting back to in person, National is doing more solar sidewalk events. We're again going to more trade shows, getting people to know about RASC. We were at the Outdoor Adventure Show in Toronto. Last year was very successful. We signed up over 50 new members, and I'm hoping to do more. And as I said, star parties, we also really want to support you in your endeavors because you're our feet on the ground. I'm just sitting there trying to do all the legwork that like is the unfun part that so you guys can be out there hanging out with the public, showing people astronomy. I'm going to create all the resources for you. That being said, we are going to be doing more of a push from national end to get you to report what you're doing on outreach, because we need to know what's going on at the center level so we can support you at the, see what you're doing, how you're doing it, who you're working with. So we're able to actually provide you with useful things instead of just throwing things we guess you might want. And that's the big thing. The way I see national is we do these high level things versus so coming up with the solar eclipse prep, we're doing the solar eclipse classes, but we want to make that educational materials. We'll just send you PDFs, so you don't even have to do all the design work. You don't have to do the advertising stuff. That's what we're there for. You just need to show people what the sun is and talk about how cool the sun is. We'll give you those educational materials. We also, with the solar eclipse, and this year is the year of the solar outreach for us, because you guys get in October 2023, and then 5 months later, we get the full one. Everybody in the next year and a half, 2 years, is going to be getting an eclipse in their area. So we want people to know about that. We're ordering I think over 100,000 solar eclipse glasses. We're getting them designed. We're going to start reaching into libraries, providing more community outreach resources. I just talked to Lauri about how partnering with the DAO, sending it to you guys to help out in these community spaces. Science centers. We're going to there's been talk about doing a guide on our task force, just a lot of stuff, which is cool for me because I don't do a lot of solar observing. So I'm learning something every day I'm doing this. Not much more, but you might notice some names on here as their EPO committee at the national level. Lauri is our chair, and so kindly agreed to be, sorry, Robin is not our president anymore. Can you tell I did this on the ferry on the way over? I'm so sorry. I thought it was correct. Anyways, Lauri is still the chair, and she still wants to be our chair. We have resources for astronomy clubs. This is being done by Ron McNaughton. And we also are developing a beginner observer program that they can do in a night. That's not as overwhelming. I know Explore the Universe seems easy to you all that have been doing this for years, but even for me, who's only been doing this for a year, it's intimidating, and it's a whole year's worth of thing. I'm the millennial. I need short-term gratification. Come on. Anyways, so they're working on this for kids and can be used by centers when you go out and do observings, and you can print off an observing certificate and say you observe these targets. If you haven't heard of the World Asterisms Project yet, you should. It is a collection right now of 9,800 different asterisms from all over the world, put together by our current president, Charles Ennis, but he's been working a lot of archaeoastronomers, universities, indigenous groups, just literally trying to be a knowledge keeper for these people, to protect the knowledge that might else be lost, and trying to dig it up. It's a free living document that will always be open access. The EPO committee, Lauri and I have been talking, sorry, I just name drop you all the time. She's one of my favorite people, so I get her to do a lot of stuff. We're working on doing some stuff, how you can actually translate this when you're out in the public and doing community outreach. Instead of just saying, hey, look at this thesis length document, it's longer than my thesis, and try to find it. No, let's say, okay, the Big Dipper, how do you use the Big Dipper?
I was just gonna say, we had Charles gave a presentation for the FDAO last January. So if anybody was online or was able to have that program, and there were only 4,500.
Yeah.
Last January, and there's 99, what did you say, 98?
9,800. When I made this, document a
couple months ago. That's why it's a little bit old, because it's had I had 68 on it, and I had to update it to 3,000 in less than a year. He's discovering new ones. If you're not versed in stellarium, this I can take 0 credit for this. Blake did this at Blake Van Caro, our observing, she's not interim anymore, sorry, observing committee chair. He is the observing committee chair. What came to national is like, hey, I want to teach people how to use stellarium. Can I like do it at a national level? And we're like, sure, teach people. And it's great. Like it's from, I've never touched stellarium before. I don't even know how to download it, to how the level 3, I think he starts talking about how to run your telescope with stellarium. And he just released a mobile. There's a wait list started, and he's starting the classes again. They're online. They're online in different time zones. He has people from the central Canada and like Eastern Canada teaching these classes. So it makes sense for the people who are going. And they're free for members only. These are a member benefit. And I had to kind of pretend nobody had taken up to do it live. So I have been voluntold that I will be hosting it nationally, virtually again, but we're doing it in early May. So it's not that nice outside yet to go visit things. It'll be online again, but it will be held separate from the AGM. So it will just be the GA, and the AGM will be a whole separate same day. We had great success last year, but we're going to call in more centers this year to get more center representation. We are starting to plan it in October. But keep that in mind. It will be online again this year. And yeah, and that is it. If you haven't followed us, I'm sure you all are following us on TikTok. I mean, that's what I'm on every day. I'm totally joking. I don't even have TikTok on my phone. Oh, what about LinkedIn? Like, no. Yeah, anyways. That's just an overview. Sorry I talked fast. I got lots of stuff. I don't even know how I keep track of it all until I sit down. But thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Samantha. Does anybody have any questions they would like to ask?
Sorry?
Does anyone have any questions they'd like to ask Samantha? I'm putting you on the spot.
It's okay. I'm technically working now. I went to a star party once on my own accord, and the person was like, hey, we have the education outreach person for the RASC here. Like, you should just go ask your things. It wasn't even a RASC star party. I was like, I'm here for vacation. Yes. Oh, couple things I was going to mention. Calendars are going on sale on October 1st, not even pre-orders. We're putting them on sale. You'll get them as soon as they come out of the printer because they're on thing. It's happening. It is. We wouldn't have put it on unless we feel like it's good to go. And if you have any center events, National wants to advertise them. We have a calendar online. We even can put in-person events on the calendar now. If you want us to link people to certain things, just send it to us and we'll share it in every way we can. We are there to do that. We are everything for publications. It seems to be going good. We do encourage you though to make sure your address is good on Driven, because that if it's wrong, you're not going to get your observer's handbook properly. We have someone pulling that list at the end of this month, reviewing it, and then going to be sending it off to the publisher. It's not being sent by a shipping house. It's being sent by the publisher to you guys individually. So
it might come this year.
It might come this year, actually, and maybe not water damage. Yeah, so we're really, really, really trying hard. Like honestly, we can't. Yeah, National, man, we had to hire extra people. We were working day and night to get those things out to you last year. But yeah, we've worked it out with the publisher. That's going to be coming directly from them. But you need your address correctly, because if it's not correct, there's nothing really we can do at that point.
So what you're saying, so we need to go onto the site to make sure that we can like log in and make sure that the address is correct.
Yeah, if you've done it already recently, you know it's correct, and that's okay. But just double check that the address on your Driven account on secure.rasc.ca is the one you want things mailed to. If you're getting Sky News, if you got this past month Sky News, then it's probably good, because that's where Sky News pulls their list from too. So if you're getting Sky News with no issues, then that's a good sign. You guys are okay. Yeah.
Chris, do we have some people that are on kind of the shoulder of being members?
Probably, yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
So
we just need to, they need to maybe make sure that they're,
Yeah,
that they're
anybody who
ready.
hasn't received anything yet.
How many people would like to have a calendar for that? Like usually we make we make an order, and last year was rather stupendous because we made an order and then it didn't come and didn't come and didn't come, and so Phil made another order for us, and then both of them came. So we eventually, we had double the number of things. So we were giving away, well, no, we weren't, but we still have got actually a couple of calendars left, even though it's October, almost October. But if anybody's interested, just let me know and we can start making a list, and we'll send out an order early so that that we can get something. So if anybody's interested in getting one, I think they probably still will be at about $15 level or something is what we sell them for. So
you get them at a discount here? Oh, nice. Bill made me pay full price for my calendar. You can get it for free. Apparently I can't justify the calendar being outreach research, so he lets you take other things for work.
No, if anybody wants one, just let me know.
Yeah, I've been into the publishing person, the marketing publisher person. We go in the same office, and she's very like, I'm not putting up these calendars until I'm sure they're gonna get there. So she's confident enough to put it up. That means I'm well, I'm not stressed this year. We actually have been using a new shipper for the past couple of months. If you haven't noticed, then that's a good thing. So and remember, I told Lauri a month ago, and she was like, "What?" I'm like, "Have you noticed?" She's like, "Nope."
Everything was coming.
Yeah.
You didn't have any trouble. So
no.
So
We checked with people who have worked with them. We did our very, very, very due diligence after. So anyways, yeah, I'd like to thank you all for inviting me. At least I'm really happy I could come, welcoming, and trying to be convinced to move out here eventually.
Good idea.
You got better skies than I do, so
see if we can get you up to the VCO tonight.
VCO, yes. Yeah. I heard that I could go out to a telescope at night. I was like, I'm sold.
Hey, Samantha, it's Janeane here online.
Hello.
Yeah, I just really wanted to say thank you for having a really organized and comprehensive overview of your role. I just think it's so important that we know what education and public outreach is thinking from the staff point of view. I know Lauri's a amazing liaison in the volunteer aspect, but to have a staff come and give that comprehensive update really means a lot. So thank you.
No problem. I'm really happy to come. I want to start doing more of this stuff. Some more centers. So just got lucky.
Well, thank you very much, Samantha. It's doubly interesting. At my office, I'm kind of the astronomy guy. So if anything happens or somebody is interested in looking at something, I'm the person they come to. So it would be really good to have a list of some of those programs and websites that you were mentioning that I could pass to them, and hopefully get some more people involved in the RASC.
For sure. Yeah, this is something even at the national level, we're going to be putting together a whole comprehensive list for like anybody who comes calling. So we'll share those with everyone. For sure. I will put that on my list of things to do. Fortunately, I am one person and I try to do this all on my own.
Just as an update too, for the astronomy clubs, we have one new club that has been started at Oak Bay High School by a young man who's in grade 12, whose name is Evan Warburton, and Evan did a huge amount of outreach or the volunteering up at the center over the summer for us, up for the FDAO, and I encouraged him to start a club if he could, and he's got 30 kids coming every week from Oak Bay, and he does have a teacher liaison, but it's the kids who are actually doing all the programming and figuring out what to do. And so my next thing is, well, would they like to do a robotic telescope program?
I'm really pushing. Come on, people, I need it booked. I'm gonna not have my Wednesday nights free for the next 5 months.
We'll
We'll
get
do
that,
it.
we'll get that. And then there is another, our own Nathan, Messelman, Hellman Messelman, who's people know from our center. He's only in grade 9 at Mount Doug, but he's also going to see if he can start a program at Mount Doug. And then we also, of course, have the wonderful program at Vic High as well. And so we've got, so that's 3 that we've got here in Victoria. So
You guys are a powerhouse of a center. I'm realizing I'm recognizing all these names. I'm like, man, well, these are where everybody lives.
So that's something that we need to promote. And what I would like to see is that we as a center are mentors for these young people. I mean, look around us, is that we don't have anybody that's younger that, comes to too many of the meetings. We don't have children under the age of 12. That I don't even know whether there's anybody that's even a member. I don't know. Is there anybody that's a member that's kind of in a family membership that's under 12?
Maybe,
In our
but
center,
not many,
maybe,
and
but
not
not many.
more than a few.
Yeah,
If
so
that-
we're it's an area that we do need to kind of keep track of a little bit as to what we can do to help out the mentorships of those children and adults. and
Gotta get them
teenagers.
young.
Yeah.
I've been told I have an agenda every time I give a gift to a young child, and it's usually astronomy themed. So I'm like, yes, I do. Gotta cook them in, yeah.
No, thanks, Samantha. It's a pleasure having you here.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. Did anybody else have any questions or comments they'd like to make to Samantha or direct to Samantha?
She's going to come calling for our data.
I will.
Yeah, to get together with that.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's not me, but
No.
it is me.
It is you.
Sometimes I gotta be the bad guy. I just want to be the fun person.
Well, thank you very much, Samantha. That was very informative and very good presentation, and we're very happy to have you visit. So thank you very much for coming out.
How can I resist? This is a beautiful place, so.
Well, I think we had about 4 months of cloud last year, but you came out at a good time now. So
Why does everybody say that? Every time I come, it's beautiful and sunny, and they're like, this is not normal. And I'm like, I've been here 4 times, and this is apparently normal.
did anybody else have anything they would like to bring up or discuss? Anything that was prompted by our previous speakers?
Did anybody watch the DART thing today? Where they crashed the craft into the little asteroid? It was cool.
Yeah, it was. It was.
That went just before the screen went red. The detail, it showed that asteroids are little piles of rubble. That's what I thought. It's a little pile of rubble. So you can't just blow one up. They'll just come right back together. So it'll be interesting to see what it does.
Does anybody have a video of it? Or is
It's
it
on YouTube. If you go to, it's all over the place out there.
NASA TV, I know, was broadcasting it live, so I'm pretty sure they would have it on their YouTube channel.
Yeah, that's what I was watching. It was interesting. Down in the corner, it showed the control room, and you could see the person in the command, the person who was like the chief person in charge. And she's like, you could see her chewing on her fingernails as it got closer and closer on the screen. And then you could see the relief, like as she's realizing it's actually going to happen. Like it was making a direct beeline for these 3 little mounds on the surface. And the final detail, they said the resolution was down to 10 centimeters. That's how fine a detail it was. It was really cool watching the little rocks get sharper and sharper and then just go blank. It was very cool.
There was I know there was an Italian CubeSat that was released a day or so before the impact that was going to be filming it. Did they have any video from that?
I didn't see. I had work to do outside
Alex,
after.
what's
what's going to happen is it's a CubeSat and it's millions of miles away, which means it's going to take a while to get the data down to Earth. So we're going to have to wait probably a couple of weeks to see any images from the CubeSat. I checked into it because I wondered where's the CubeSat stuff, and that's a story. It doesn't have much of an antenna on it, so it takes a while for the data to come down. But there's already stuff circulating on the internet from telescopes on Earth, and it created quite a cloud briefly around that asteroid. So there ought to be some neat images coming down in the days to come. And of course, they need some time to track the orbit to see what the effect was on the path of the asteroid. So that's why they were celebrating tonight, because there's not much they can do after it hits, at least for now, but over time. So that was pretty good. And I'm sorry, Samantha, I snuck out of your presentation for a couple of minutes to see an ISS pass.
How dare you? I'm in.
I'm not on the national board anymore, so there you go.
You're the only one. How dare you look up at the sky instead of listening to me? Like, this is, isn't this?
Well, after all that time on the board, I didn't know where the sky was. I had to have somebody tell me where it was.
I do have the video on my screen if you want me to share it.
Sure.
Well, while you're setting that up, just as a note for any science fiction readers, the latest issue of Analog magazine had a story that was based around the DART impact on the asteroid. And the author was saying that he was very happy that he did manage to get it out in the issue before the impact, because it would have been totally obsolete and irrelevant if it had been delayed until after the impact. It was a very good story. If anybody subscribes to Analog, they'll remember it.
Cool. Are we ready?
Yes.
Oh my goodness. Eight,
Yeah.
7,
Oh,
6,
wow.
4, 3, 2, 1.
Oh, wow. Awaiting visual confirmation.
All right. We got it? Waiting.
Blood spilled.
Very defense. Fantastic. Oh, fantastic.
That was cool.
That was it.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Nice.
Well, if nobody else has anything to say, I think we can probably wrap it up now. Would anyone like to add anything before we close?
No, but in case anybody's keeping track, the Artemis was postponed again by a hurricane, so that's not happening tomorrow.
No.
Well, considering the mess it made of Newfoundland and whatnot, I'm not surprised that they put it into the shed.
It's a different hurricane.
Yeah, there's two going on right now.
Hurricane Ian.
Yeah.
Jim, before we go, I just wanted to thank 7 rascals who came to the Fall Fairfield outreach event. We saw upwards of over 400 people, and the solar scopes were extremely popular. There were lineups behind 3 or 4 solar scopes all day, and the guys were desperately hungry and exhausted by the end of the day, but pretty happy. So
excellent. Thank you.
Sounds like a successful outreach event.
Very good. Very good news.
Outreach really has its value. I've been going to my local market every Sunday for the last little while. And the weekend before last, I look up to see this woman staring at me. And I said, "Oh, now you've looked. Now you have to come over and look." And she said, "No, that's not actually why I'm staring at you. You're doing astronomy." And then she started telling me the story about her husband who had just died. And she was looking for somewhere to donate his telescope equipment, which isn't going into Sid's shed. Because it'll just get sold off. So in the very near future, Mark at Pearson is going to be picking up. I don't know what else there is. We haven't gone to her place yet, but there will be a 50th anniversary Quest Star going into the pile. So I'm dying to see that scope and see what it is. They're just the prettiest little things.
That would make a great gift to a student.
It's worth about $6,000.
So
I also put out a little plug. Our telescope museum is really coming in full like shape. We're setting things up. Thing about too is, so if you have anybody you don't know what to do with, but you want to donate an older telescope to us, they can get a tax receipt or Randall. And the thing is, it's not just gonna sit in the museum. Like Dorner wanted these telescopes to be used in outreach and people to look through them. So they're there for people to use, but if you if you see someone has a telescope that want to donate and it's not going to work for your center, contact us and we might be able to put it to good use in our Toronto center, not our Toronto office, and have it in the museum. And yeah.
Okay, that will be a very good thing to keep in mind. I know, because it's always sad to see a piece of equipment that could be used for something, but you just have no local use for it. So that's good to know. There's another destination it could go to.
Yeah, we finally, they're not in boxes anymore. We have like 10 telescopes now. Walk into our office and there's some really, like, we're gonna do a lot more. We'll share some videos, make some stuff so you can see what's there, but got some really good historical stuff going on there, as well as more modern day. Randall's been doing a great job. He won't let me touch anything yet. I just get to look at them right now. When he lets me get at that museum, though, there's going to be all the fun graphics.
I guess since we're still on outreach, it's Janeane here from Nanaimo Astronomy Society. Our president we were invited to participate in the Friday's National Day of Truth and Reconciliation in Nanaimo. So for the first time, we're going to be setting up a booth there. It's a big city. It's organized by the city of Nanaimo. I don't know what to expect, but I just think it's a really good idea for astronomy to be at an event like that. So just something, food for thought for Victoria or maybe other centers. I don't know how it's going to go. I'll let you know.
That's an excellent idea. Actually, the document that Charles Ennis put together, the asterisms, may be useful for that as well, because I know there was, I'm not sure if it was in that document, but there was somebody else who presented something about the native astronomy and descriptions of the sky.
That's a great point. I'll look into that. I actually don't know you. What's your name?
Oh, I'm Jim Cliffe. I'm with the Victoria Center, and I don't usually say much, but Chris asked me to host this evening, so I'm speaking a lot more than I did, and I'm trying to remember all my public speaking notes from back in high school.
Well, it's great to meet you, Jim, like in this role, and I thought you did a great job tonight. But yeah, we're not, Nanaimo Astronomy Society isn't directly affiliated with RASC, but we do collaborate, and I'll mention that. That's a great point. I did go to Charles's presentation. It was fascinating. So thanks for drawing the connection.
Oh, you're very welcome. Well, I think then if that's all we have, we can probably call it an evening. And again, I want to say thank you very much to Samantha for that wonderful presentation, and thank you to Brock and to, oh gosh, I'm terribly sorry, I forgot, David. Yes, it was David who spoke.
They're forgettable, apparently.
What have we done tonight? I'm losing everything here. But thank you very much, everybody, for attending, and we'll definitely have something more to present on next Monday evening. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Tim.
Good night, Zoomers.
Good night.